Well, today I've got all my notes together for Roy Michael Roman. His law firm is the Upcoming Law Firm in Cleveland, Tennessee, and a good friend of mine. It's going to be a great discussion. I look forward to this all week. He called me earlier, said, I asked him if he wanted to go to lunch. He said his car battery was dead, but he gets so stressed out about his car.
Well, the cold weather will freeze a car battery.
Yeah. I wonder if it warms up, will the car battery go, or is it just dead when it's dead?
It's probably just dead.
He's had all kinds of trouble with that thing.
Mercy.
What do you think is the biggest reason that we've had warm weather the first of this year? I guess it's just cycles, right?
It's got to be cycles. I mean, I haven't been able to keep track of it. One day I'm in a t-shirt, and the next day I'm in 4 layers, and either way I'm not built for the cold. So
I'm not either. I can't stand to be cold. I'd much rather be 90 degrees.
1,000%.
I'm not a cold nature. You think our ancestors were are you part Greek?
No, I was born here, so I don't really know what I've got in me. I say I'm Bradley Countyan.
Now, your dad is Roy Roman also, right?
He is.
He is a great trumpeter, right?
He's a trumpet player, and I guess the story that everyone always asks me is, how'd you come to Cleveland? And I said, well, I was born here, but Dad wasn't. And the story is that Dad, and most people know Phil Driscoll, that's my godfather. So most people who know Phil know he's a trumpet player and a pastor. And so Dad taught Phil how to play the trumpet. Dad is Phil's trumpet teacher.
Is that right?
And so I grew up with them pretty much my whole life, just traveling and going to shows and going to churches. It was a very different upbringing than I'd say most would have.
Now your dad has albums too, right? I mean, like vinyl albums.
He's got albums. Yep, he's got albums, and he played all over. But that was back in the day. I'd say like in the '60s and '70s,
like New York, Chicago, that area.
All over the world. Yep, at Madison Square Garden, the whole 9 yards. And so,
you ever know Chet Baker, or was Chet Baker already dead?
I'm not sure. If you asked him, he'd probably know any person you named. I'm not as cultured.
Where
as
did he learn to play that?
I'd say there's a guy in New York City. His name is also Roy, but it's Roy Stevens. And he taught him this trumpet method. It's the Stevens-Costello method, some practice of trumpet. And Dad is one of the only people who still teaches that today. And he learned it from Roy Stevens, and then he taught it to Phil. And they've got this unbreakable bond from this guy named Roy. And I'm like, I can't get away from that name.
Well, that's weird, isn't it?
It's weird. It's weird.
You ever notice you'll start going along and you'll meet somebody named Fred, and then for the next 3 weeks, everybody's name's Fred that you meet or something. It's weird, isn't it?
Happens all the time.
But he's an accomplished trumpet player, wasn't he?
Yep, he played all over with, I'd say every major jazz and Latin artist in like the 60s and 70s, you could check the list. I mean, some of the notable ones are like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. He played with them.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the bigger names in jazz.
So he played with Frankie Valli?
Mm-hmm. He did.
Well, I remember their song, Summer of 65?
Yeah.
What's the name of that?
And I'll tell you, he did Nixon, Reagan, and Ford's inaugural balls. He played with Princess Grace of Monaco. I mean, he and Phil have been all over, but Dad really specifically was with those guys. So,
well, that's something, isn't it? I mean, that's really something.
It is a totally different world for sure.
But he stayed more around the religious genre, right? Or
I'd say on the tail end for sure. So I think
not on the beginning.
At first, when you're making it, you rock and roll.
Play where they'll listen.
Right. And then I think over time, he started traveling around more, and then they became ingrained in more like discipleship and being pastors and really just playing. He never really had his own church. They did have a ministry, Mom and Dad, but that was on the tail end of his trumpet career, and now he's just a musician. I always say of all the people you see, like nowadays there's musicians, but they don't really know how to sing. They don't
Yeah.
really know how to make music. He's one of those people that he doesn't care about anything other than whether the music sounds good. So it's
Money's not his driver, nothing.
doesn't matter. He just wants to play
Just
good.
wants to play.
Just wants to play all day long and all night long.
And you never picked up any of the qualities of playing?
Well, I played. I mean, I played trumpet and piano, trumpet from Dad, piano from Mom. The story is Mom was booking a group for a gig in New York City, and Dad answered the phone, and she was saying, hey, I work for some fancy New York company, and we're booking your guys' show or whatever, and Dad answered, and they met on the phone and fell in love. And the story is she was a concert pianist, and he was a big trumpet player, and they met. So I've got both of those qualities. I played growing up all through school, and then I realized once I got to high school, I wanted to do something a little different.
That's totally different, isn't it? It's a whole different
Totally
business
different.
world.
Totally different world. But I got to meet a lot of great people and had some mutual connections throughout life that I didn't really realize I'd have from Dad's past music life. And so it made traveling more fun, that's for sure.
Wonder what the connection is that of you seeing that made you wanted to be in the legal field.
You know, I think over time I realized that I was pretty good at it, but I wanted to build this own path of mine and start something new. I always loved school. I always loved reading and books, and I kind of credit it to Dad in a lot of ways by I was born here. I was raised here. It's really all I ever knew was just kind of playing baseball and going to school and going to churches and traveling around. But he really instilled, you've got to work for everything you've got, even from a very young age. Like even when you're 10 or 11 years old, you want to get out there, even just sell lollipops if you can. And so when I was 12 or 13, this is like the classic law story that I've got, which is when I was 12 or 13 years old, I really wanted to go to this legal program at Columbia in New York City. And Dad said, well, that'd be great, but you got to save up some spending money while you're up there. We'll help you pay for the program, but you got to save up some spending money, so why don't you go try to find a job? And I went around to all the local law firms in Cleveland. I just asked everyone. I wrote a letter to all of them, if you'd be willing to let me run papers, I'll clean your floors, I'll vacuum, I'll do anything. I just want to go to this law program. And the only firm that wrote me back was Richard Banks.
Huh.
And he wrote me back and he sent me $100. And he said, I don't really have a job, but, wish you all the best. I turned out that I didn't end up going to that program. I decided I wanted to do something else that was closer to home and easier to get to. And so I went to Richard's office, and I'll never forget it. I'm this little kid going into a bankruptcy law firm. They probably thought I was crazy. And I said, I've got money for Mr. Banks. I need to give it back to him. They didn't believe me, and so they set me an appointment for, I think, 2 or 3 days later. And I went back and I saw him. I said, well, Richard, I didn't go to this program, so I'd like to give you your $100 back. I didn't end up going to the program. And really the rest was history. He said he let me keep the money. He said, go buy yourself some khaki pants and a button-down shirt.
How old were you then?
I think I was 13 at that point. I was still in junior high. And so I gave him that money back. I said, I just want to.
That was your in.
That was my in, I guess. But I don't think that was really the plan. And from that point, he had me come back, and I started doing little paperwork here and there. And really, I was like a water boy, and I loved it. It was like the best thing I've ever done. I always wanted to be in that kind of world. And then from there, the rest was history.
Was he on Ocoee Street then?
He still was, in the Million Building.
In the Million Building,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And so that was the start of it. A lot of people say, well, how did you decide law? The joke I always tell people is every parent wants their kid to be like a lawyer or a doctor, and they end up wanting to be a musician or be a drummer.
Yeah.
I'm the reverse. Like everyone wanted me to be a trumpet player or a piano player, and I'm like, sorry guys, I'm going to end up doing law, and I'm the disappointment of the family. It's a joke. It's not real, but it's the funny stories, of course.
Right.
Like the one chance you get to be a drummer. I never wanted to be a drummer. So.
Wonder what really inspired you to be that instead of a medical doctor or a business.
It's an interesting question. To me, I like to see a start and a finish of something, and I guess as a doctor, you can prescribe a medicine and you take whatever medicine you take and you get healthy. But for me, it was like finding a problem and getting to the finish line of that problem. I loved that, and I still do today. And so to me, I think I like to represent someone else's interest because I think I can explain it in a way that actually makes sense. And that's where the law really, I fell in love with it. And it was all through the bankruptcy world because Richard's doing bankruptcies and I'm saying, hey, there's a start date, there's a problem. You got a surgery, you get 200 grand in medical bills. That's not your fault. You just can't pay your bills back. You file a bankruptcy, you get to keep all your stuff and you move on with your life. And then 90 days later, there's an end date. And they move on, and they're very thankful for Richard, and I got to watch it all happen. And I think that really inspired me to say I like to see a problem from beginning to end. I don't like doing things where you're constantly chipping away for time and time again. I think that's meant for someone. I'd consider myself pretty pragmatic. I want to see a beginning and an end date, probably like building a house.
Yeah.
Or
you want to
see the finish line.
Yeah. And I can't stop before I'm done. Like have some OCD or whatever you call it. It
Right.
has to have a completion,
It's got to have an end date.
a closure, I call it.
I agree. I agree.
I talked to a guy yesterday, and your name came up, and he said you had represented him. He said that, I thought it was a good compliment. He said you really, truly worked extremely hard for him, and he felt like you did it because you cared and not because you were just a lawyer, but you made him somehow or another feel like you really cared about him.
Right. Well, and that's the best compliment you can get.
Yeah,
Right.
it can't get any better.
I love to win.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but I'd rather win, but also know that the client felt that they were a priority.
Well, this one did, for sure.
Well, and that means a lot to me, but I think it really goes to, I'm only 28 years old. I've had the opportunity to do, I could have done a lot of stuff. I've traveled around for school. I got to live in New York City. I was having a blast. It's like a dream, right? You're kind of like a bachelor living in New York City. You can, the world's your oyster.
Yep.
With so many great opportunities and job opportunities and future possibilities in life. And I really decided that being home meant so much to me. It just really did. I don't know what it is about home, but it just really matters to me. And so when I came home, it was like this, I finally got to do what I saw Richard and Rebel and Bradley doing for all those years, but it's me now, right? Like I'd always have to prep everything and then I'd watch Richard do it. And I'd be like, man, I can't wait for that to be me
To
one
be
day.
the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now to me, I wake up giddy to go to court every morning. It's just something I've been trying to get in the door for so long.
If one of the other lawyers had sent you the letter back or replied, you might have gone directly into that field. It would have been might have been the same.
Totally possible. Yeah. And I mean, and my thing was Phil had known pretty much every lawyer here.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure he's
Yeah.
been through
Yeah.
every lawyer here. And, Dad was,
Yeah.
I generally knew some. And growing up in the church world, there's always stuff, nonprofit
Sure.
law and all of that where you need legal assistance. But I agree. Had anyone responded, to me, it wouldn't have really mattered. I just wanted to be in somewhere.
Yeah.
And so it definitely could have been different. But the one thing I would say is I never really wanted to leave to go off and try a big law firm in a big city. But Richard always encouraged me. He said, look, you can always come home. Like home's never going to not be home. But you've got pretty much one opportunity to go explore New York City or for Philly for undergrad or for even more locally like Durham for law school. He said, you can always come home, but these are once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. If you don't take it now, you may always wonder what that would have been like. And so I really do.
You got there quick, didn't you?
It was a fast process. Yeah, I mean, I was 17 when I went off to college, so that was a big adjustment. I had never lived anywhere other than Cleveland. So moving to Philadelphia at 17, I kind of told my parents, I was like, all right, see you later. Let me figure this out. And that was a tough transition for sure. Cultural norms are very different. I'd grown up here, like going to church every Sunday, going to other stuff on Wednesday for church.
Yeah.
I'd got baseball or sports during the week. And, my buddies and I, we'd go to the football games on Friday. Like that really wasn't, those weren't the norms.
Right.
I mean, people cared about the Eagles for football, but it took me a while to find people who had, grown up in the same kind of way. And over time.
It's like that John Cougar song, I grew up in a small town.
It is.
Right?
It is. And I mean, I think it's played such an integral role in, I'd say, probably being more, caring more about the end goal for a specific case.
You like being the guy, don't you?
Right.
That's taking care of the people.
Right. It's a
What
huge
you
priority.
think is your people.
It's a huge priority. And I mean, I think a lot of times hometown is thrown around, and I think, if you're here, you're here. Like, this is your home. But I was born at Bradley Memorial, right? Like, I get it. I just get it. My parents don't really. They're not from here, and that's fine. But they've learned to love it.
Yeah.
But I think really being born here and growing up, like Tennessee Christian, then North Lee, then I switched over, Cleveland Middle, Cleveland High. It was like, this is all I ever knew growing up. It was just something that, to me, is so integral in how we approach cases now. It really is.
It's so comforting to be from a small town. And, we could have a flat tire out here in a few minutes. Somebody'd come along that we knew.
100%. All the time. I mean, and it happens even at the office, right? Like, we'll have an event and we'll say, hey, we need someone to, cook some food for us. And I've got a couple people I remember I grew up with high school with, hey, we'll bring, XYZ and we'll hook it up. And it's just a different way of life. It really is.
It's really comforting. It's so, I remember a friend of mine said, he was talking to another guy, and he said, why are you going to do that for him? And his only reply was, he used to come over to the house.
Wow. Yeah.
He said he used to come over to the house.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he was a good guy or he was a great guy, or that it was just he used to come over to the house. That had some relevance to him.
It did. I mean, and that I completely get it.
I get what he was talking about.
Yeah.
He used to come over to the house.
I get it 100%.
I remember it was one word. He used to come to the house. He made it like one word. To the house was one word.
It was just an action. That was a verb.
Yeah,
to the house was a verb. Yeah, I get it.
So you went to North? I went to North Lee.
Really?
Well, that was a good school.
That was a terrific school.
It was a great school.
It was Kevin Raper was our principal. And my favorite teacher in the world ever, and my whole life, it was Miss Hilliard. She was my kindergarten teacher.
I think she was there when I was there.
I think she was. She's a legend there.
Yeah.
And then, I had some others that were great. I remember Coach Doan was the gym coach.
Remember the playground over there?
Oh, yeah.
Behind the mall?
Yeah.
Was the mall there when you were there?
I think I was I think that was before my time. I was there in early 2000s.
Yeah, see, when I was there, it was just a big field. We used to go all the way to the back fence.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I got a paddling there I stayed after school to wait for my mother to pick me up, and it was 5 o'clock, and I was on the monkey bars, and somebody was stepping on my fingers, and so I went like that, and the principal saw me and paddled me, Mr. Ingram.
Okay.
And so fast forward 20 years later, I go to a Rutan chili supper at that school, and he was there.
Really?
And I let him have it, man. I said, I didn't do anything. I was just, and he said, have you ever made a mistake? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, maybe I made that one. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but,
he probably didn't remember.
I was early 20s, and I was just wanting to let him have it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I hadn't seen Coach Doan in a while, and I vividly remember a time where we were pretty rowdy playing football, on that side field.
Oh, yeah.
Next to the school. And, we got a little aggressive playing. We had all been playing baseball together our whole lives, and so when we played football, we played tackle, and it was pretty aggressive. And it got a little heated. I'll never forget Coach Doan jumping over that fence, coming to break us all up.
Yeah.
And I saw him at a I think it was Walker Valley versus Bradley or Walker Valley versus Cleveland football game. And I was really scared to say hi because I was like, he's going to remember that time that I was in the kerfuffle over a football game, but he didn't remember it all. So it made me feel a lot better.
You know, when I went there, they were still shoveling coal for the furnace under
Really?
that. Yeah, that's how long ago.
That's crazy.
But, you know, speaking of that, you know, when you're young like that and you're on the playground, there's somebody watching that's going to blow the whistle.
Exactly.
So y'all stop that, break it up.
Yep.
But when you get out in the world we're in today, I guess the adult world, there's nobody blowing the whistle.
Nope. There's not. And that was, I'll tell you, you're totally right. And that was something I learned very quickly once I left home. Mm-hmm. I got to Philly and I'm thinking, you know, I'm used to being home. If something happens, someone will offer me here, buddy, let me hold that while you're picking stuff up. And your umbrella wouldn't work in the rain, and no one cared. And that was, I know it's a small example, but it really was notable to me that right away, I'm seeing it's a big city. Like, no one's worried about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so you're right. In the real world, it's like there's no whistleblower. There's just not. There's
not. And that's why we have to rely nowadays on not necessarily, I know you can't say the legal process is not good, but you really can't rely on the legal process bringing attention to it. You have to hire a lawyer to bring the attention to it.
Right. And I think that's why a lot of times picking the right attorney matters. And I think a lot of people think, well, you know, I'm just going to pick the guy that I see on the billboard, and I have billboards too, but it really matters who focuses on what issue, right? I mean, I don't do any personal bankruptcies. I send all those to Richard and Bradley. If I could try, and I'd probably figure it out. I've done it enough times to probably figure it out, but they're the guys that have that full understanding of how to do something, right? And so what I say is, you know, there may be someone better than me that can handle that issue. And I think that shows that you really do care about the outcome for that client, as opposed to saying, well, I really want your
Give me
some odd retainer and I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. I think you sometimes have to pick the person that understands those issues. And that's what I'd say is a difficulty for younger lawyers to understand. I'd say, especially when they're first starting out. Because what I learned very quickly was I started my practice in Manhattan, right? So you walk into, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street and Suits put together.
Yeah.
And you grow very quickly in that world because you understand that this is not that $50,000 isn't a lot of money, but this is not a $50,000 issue. These are like billion-dollar issues where 1 zero can play a role and it's 100 million or 10 million, right? It's a big deal. And so you learn quickly that having the right set of skills matters. And I think that's something that a lot of younger lawyers maybe don't understand. It's like, sometimes I'm not the guy for the job.
Yeah, it's like building houses. I'm not the guy to build the school.
Exactly.
And I'm not the guy to renovate your bathroom. You know, but I've got my niche.
Exactly. It's exactly right.
Maybe years ago we didn't have to. Maybe years ago you didn't have to specialize in medicine or legal. Maybe you could be a broader range.
Right.
But as things get more complex, you have to really go to a specialist. I remember years ago I'd built this motel. And it was back with gas that hit $3.50 a gallon. And the economy was bad, and I was down to minutes.
Wow.
It was bad.
Bad.
It was bad. I had everything I owned in it. And I go to this guy, he was real heavy, and he had a limp. And he said, I'll sell your motel. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, I sell motels And I said, do you ever sell people motels? He said, no, I sell people's motel. I don't deal with medical. I don't deal with gas stations. I don't deal with dry cleaners. I don't deal with houses. I don't deal with people looking to buy motels. I sell people's motels, just one way only. And he really specialized in just that one direction.
Wow.
And he had a little office, and that's all he did, just one direction. And you know, within about 6 months, he had sold it. He had found a buyer, and
Amazing.
It was the first realization I had that you can specialize in one specific thing.
For sure.
But now you do other legal stuff too.
Absolutely.
So how do you discern this between we do family law and we do?
I think there's a good way to explain it. I mean, first and foremost, I consider myself to be a litigator. I like to talk. I like to be in a courtroom. And I understand that there's certain parts of the law that there are other people who are better than me at, right? Like, I don't like to sit and spend 12 hours writing a brief. I want to go explain why I'm right to the judge. And so what you got to do is you've got to surround yourself with people who have those skills, whether it be attorneys or sports staff, so that if it's something specific that I don't need to be working on, I don't work on it. I think a perfect example is I don't do trusts or wills. That's another attorney in our office, Robert Chesser, who, if you have a trust or a will issue, you're going to sit with him. I don't even want to talk to you about it. Now, I tell people, look, it's worth spending the time with him to do it. If you remember me, because you taught me when I was at Cleveland Middle School, I'll write you a will, but it's going to end up going through him anyways. You know, I get that they want that face-to-face contact, but I think that's a perfect example of having you work with someone specifically for that specific issue. At the same time, though, I'd say, at least for me, I like to be in a courtroom and I like to study the specifics of how something works. And so to me, I've really taken a ton of time to say, okay, my whole world has been bankruptcy law from the beginning. And I fundamentally understand corporate bankruptcy. That's like the one thing that I'd say I have spent the majority of my career on. But I've also been in federal court in New York City. And I've also been in federal court around the United States. And I'm licensed in all these different courts federally and at the state level too. I get what people are looking for, and I get what a court is looking for, at least to some extent. And I'm now learning how Bradley County courts and other 10th Judicial District courts look at issues. And so I've been able to tailor that for the different fields that I like specifically, and then I've brought in guys for things that I don't like. And so you asked me, family law is a perfect example, or let's say criminal defense is a perfect example. I don't just go in and try and wing it. I look to all my elders who have kind of paved the way for me, and I say, well, how does that guy solve an issue? Or I sometimes go to the court and just watch. Mm-hmm. I may only have 3-4 cases in the courtroom, but I'll stay an extra hour and just, I want to watch how, so-and-so does an issue, or I want to watch him, or I want to go against him and see how I can learn from that. And that's how we started. Now we have our own way of doing things, and it's a very streamlined protocol. But at some point you've got to accept the fact that there are a lot of people that you can learn from, no matter how old you are. And again, I hate to keep hashing back to Richard, but Richard was always looking at new ways of doing bankruptcy. Even after he's been doing it for 40 years, he's still looking for new ways to do it. And I've taken that approach, and it's helped tremendously.
So you're what you're just saying is you're more of a student of the law.
1,000%. And once you have the skills, anyone can have the skills, but then you've got to hone them into the specific legal issues that you're working on.
But if you didn't have these specialists in your office that worked with this or that, then you couldn't take care of your clients, which in your mind are your people from Bradley County.
Exactly.
So you're almost having these extra specialists in the fields so that you can take care of the people.
Right. And
so you're actually still doing it.
You're right.
It's like me, I'm not plumbing the house, but I'm using my plumber.
But you've got a guy.
I got a guy.
Exactly.
I'm using him.
And so that's, to me, the difference between building a law firm and just being Roy Roman lawyer. Some people, that's what they want to focus on is one thing. The goal with RMR Legal has always been, it's a one-stop shop. You don't have to go to 3 different people. Now, if there's something specific that we don't do, great. There's plenty of people around town that we can refer you to, but we've tried to build one place where you can go, and we have someone for each individual issue, and that's taken a lot of time to hand select the right person for the right issue. I mean, I think the perfect example is just recently we brought on someone new, Robert Feltz, who his experience primarily was all in healthcare administration, corporate administration, and board governance and those kinds of things, where someone who has a corporate law issue is probably going to want to talk to him. He's got an MBA. He's done that in pretty legitimate fields of law, has been a consultant at a PwC, that kind of stuff, that you fundamentally understand those issues. And so they say, well, I want to talk to Roy. And I said, well, look, I'll come talk to you and I'll explain how that could play a role in maybe potential litigation down the road, or how it has some interplays with maybe corporate restructuring or bankruptcy, or how you need to be thinking about your liability management generally. But you've got a guy who all he wants to do is look at your contracts and spend every waking moment cleaning up things of that nature. And so it's protecting people's interests, but also understanding that I can't do every single thing because there's only so many minutes in a day, and we've got to have the right people handling the right kind of issue.
It's similar. I don't want to make it too simplified, but if you go to a beauty shop, this one cuts fade haircuts, and this one does color, that one does this. So you're still going in, and they're directing you to the chair that does that thing.
The best way to describe it is, I would grow up with Dad and Phil, and they'd travel to such and such location, and there'd be the trumpet section, the drums, the singer, and then the people doing the sound, which was honestly one of the most important things. And no one even knows. Right. You don't know a single sound guy's name. Right. Like, no one knows the sound guy's name, but if the sound guy messes up the, Taylor Swift performance, she's going to fire him, right? And so everyone has their own specific role. And if you can understand that from a logistical perspective, then it's the same within the legal field. You've got to have each person playing their role so that the cogs in the machine keep turning.
Maybe it's that way in about every business.
It might be.
I guess, maybe it's like that, we just don't see it.
I think it probably is. But I guess there are some intricacies in law that you have to have certain admissions to do things. But otherwise, there are, I think one of the biggest things is having great support staff, paralegals, legal assistants, and we've spent a ton of time trying to find those kinds of people, and we've done a good job of doing that. And so that's honestly just as important, if not more important, because you can't do it on your own.
I noticed you've got some pretty good ads right now with your legal team.
Sure.
Looks pretty good.
Well, I appreciate it. We've started a new marketing campaign in 2026. I think one of the things that's been fun is me really doing it on my own and having a blast doing that marketing campaign for so long. But at a certain point, you've got to, like we're talking about, you've got to trust someone to take the reins, right?
When you get to the point where you can't do it no more.
Right. And then you have to understand, I'm not a social media guy. I post on my personal page that I went to a gala or something along those lines, but, I don't know how to shoot a video. I couldn't put together a podcast like this, and so I'm relying on you.
That's the trouble, because it's not my main job for sure. But your place is right down there, downtown Cleveland. Did you ever drive by there as a kid thinking, boy, if I was here, I'd be walking across the grass to the courthouse and all that stuff?
When I started with Richard, I definitely was thinking one of these days, I don't know when, but maybe I'll have something downtown in the little corridor. Like I said, I've been walking those streets really since I was a kid.
Boy, isn't it something to grow up young, and by the time you're 13, 14, 15, to know what you want to do? What a gift. What a gift.
That was a blessing, because I think that's helped speed the process up.
Sure.
Right?
Even if you've gone a path or two out of the way, you're headed in that direction.
Right. That was key, I think, to getting in early because even in law school, I was the youngest guy there. And maybe one other person who's my age. Most people were far older than I was, and that's usually the norm. I think probably 20 years ago that was not the norm. From what I've been told, that most people just went straight through. But to me, I was trained by someone who was from the old days, and so I do things like the old days. That's just how I am.
Yeah, that's funny how there's some nuances to the old way, isn't it? Isn't that funny how there's...
There are.
And we might not even recognize them, us laymen's. But you would notice, you would know, oh, that's the old. I was talking to a guy yesterday. I had to call a surveyor from Jasper. And the realtor said, did you get a hold of him? I said, oh, yeah. He said, is he going to do it? And I said, oh, yeah, he's done. She said, how did you get that? And I said, oh, he's from the old school. There's a difference.
There is.
And I've never even seen the guy. This is a survey he did. He already sent it to me. It's in color, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
So I could talk his language and he could talk mine.
Absolutely.
And I can't explain it to you. I just know that there's a nuance there that I can't explain.
Right. Well, there is. I think you're totally right.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really plays out specifically when you see, when I go out to a gala or when I go to a social event, like who I'm talking with, it's usually people that are a lot older than I am, and it's just, I get it. I understand because that's how I was trained. If I was trained differently, it may be different, but.
I've always levitated towards older people. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Did you have a grandfather?
I did, on my mom's side.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family, I've got a huge family. Dad's side, that most of them had passed away at this point, because my dad's, just comes from a very different background. It's a music background. It's a totally different world. But I've got a huge family on mom's side, and, I learned a lot from them. They're mainly athletes, and so I would say I maybe didn't get their gene after I hit high school, but I did always, even from a young age, I always wanted to play with the high school guys when I was in elementary school. I wasn't good enough or I wasn't big enough, but I always wanted to. And so I still have that today. To me, I want to go up against the best of the best. People have been doing it for 30 years, because to me, it's most fun that way.
Yeah.
You learn the most that way, in anything, really.
Have you lost weight?
I've lost a little bit of weight.
What are you doing?
Well, I've started this David Goggins 90-day challenge.
Oh, boy, I love Goggins.
I love Goggins.
I love Goggins. I love him.
He's amazing, and I'm doing it. You may know, Anthony Maddox down at Southside Fitness.
Yeah, I know Anthony.
He's become like my brother almost. We talk every day. They've dedicated someone to help me with my nutrition. I've got someone I meet with every morning, 4 days a week, to do an hour in the morning, and then I power lift with him in the evenings, 4 days a week. There's someone who helps me with food and diet, and it's been game-changing. It's tough, but it's been game-changing.
But you've lost in the last 30 or 40 days.
I have. I'd say I'm probably down probably almost 30 pounds in the last month or so.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I noticed was I moved home from New York City. I quit walking 2 miles to work every morning. I can eat Lost Moss every single day.
Yeah.
And then I sit in the chair and don't walk anywhere after I eat Lost Moss every single day. Yeah. And I think I had to get back in a routine.
And all those chips, man, they're good, aren't they?
They're too good.
Lost Moss is probably as regular as you can get as far as Mexican food, isn't it?
It's about as consistent
it's consistent
as it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I look for.
Yeah.
I'm not very adventurous.
I noticed when we've gone to eat, you eat a lot of macaroni and cheese.
It's plain. You can't mess it up.
You're right.
At when we go to the barbecue joint, you can't mess it up.
Remember when I told you, I said you was going to eat some slaw, and I said never eat mayonnaise outside of your house?
You were right. I did it one time, and I said, Dee Burris is 100% right.
You
Never
know,
again.
it's not always wrong, but when it's wrong, it's not worth every other time.
I agree.
Just don't eat mayonnaise outside of your house.
I think that's like an adage. It's a lifelong lesson.
You learn it one time.
I've told everyone at the office that too, because we've got a fridge in the kitchen. I said, no mayo.
No mayo.
None.
It's dangerous, man, unless you get it out of the jar at your house. Because you let that stuff sit out very long, it'll mess you up.
Yeah, that's a scary thing. Hence why I stick to mac and cheese. It's safe.
It's hard to beat mac, and I like Kraft macaroni and cheese, the old original kind.
Yeah, I'll eat whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I mean, growing up here, playing baseball, we didn't care what we ate. We just wanted to eat.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. Where did y'all play baseball at?
So I started at Industrial Park, so the one by the YMCA, and then we've traveled to I'd say for travel ball, you'd go a little bit further out, but I played in probably every field.
What position did you play?
I started playing shortstop and third base, but I just wasn't big enough, and then I switched to first base. Still really wasn't big enough, but I was always in the infield. It was probably because Dad would hammer me with ground balls. So I really was pretty decent in the infield, and I remember all my buddies. We are all now still friends today in different worlds, but that was one thing. I was never fast enough to play in the outfield, so I stuck to the.
I played third base. Third base, you got to really be ready, man.
You got to be ready.
I used to stand back a little bit back behind the base, so I'd have another half a second to.
Yeah.
Because somebody hit it. If they're going to hit it down the left field line, it's coming.
It's coming, and
quick.
It's coming quick. And that was I think one of the reasons why I switched is because I just wasn't fast enough, and so that again part of why I realized I wasn't going to be a pro baseball player very quickly.
I don't know. I wonder if those guys just stayed with it longer. It could just be just stayed with it that one more year, another half a year.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'd say it depends on the sport. I think some of it, I think you're right. I started playing some other sports. I picked up tennis, and now recently I picked up pickleball, which is, I'm like obsessed with that. But, I think the longer you stay at it, the better you get. And I remember there are a lot of buddies who went all the way through. Even buddies that were maybe smaller growing up, but they stuck with it. They grew into it, and then we're playing, minor leagues and doing really well. So it's cool.
I like cycling better because with that, you're like pickleball. You have times to meet and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
See, I don't want to be restricted to that.
I get that.
I can take my bike and go out myself and go at the speed I want or whatever. I don't have to. You ought to get into cycling. It's the best.
That bike that you've got, that's a sharp bike.
It's the Ferrari of bikes.
It is unreal. I'm impressed that you can sit on that seat for so long. You have to sit up on it?
No, it don't bother you a bit because the shorts have padding.
Okay,
too.
that
so
makes sense.
You got the seat plus the shorts have padding.
That makes sense.
When we get off this, I'll show it to you. Man, it's the real deal now.
Yeah, that's a sharp bike. I've never really thought about cycling as a
I've had
sport
it
for me.
44 miles an hour.
Really?
Down the hill.
That's gnarly.
Yeah,
that's like you're getting after it.
It's stupid, really.
I don't know how much of a daredevil I am, but I'd ride a bicycle with you.
And I put the earphones in my ear. Boy, if you hear Back in the Fast Lane by the Eagles, about the time you hit that, or Crazy Train,
you're gone.
It's a euphoric feeling.
I believe that. Well, you get it sometimes like running, right? You get a song and you're in the zone, but I couldn't imagine because you can pedal.
It's unbelievable. And there are some songs that do that to you that aren't necessarily fast. It's maybe where that song takes you. You ever had any songs that you listened to when you was younger that takes you to that place you want to be?
100%. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Name me one of them.
Well, I'm trying to stick with rock. I remember when I was a kid and I heard Hotel California for the first time, and I had no idea what it meant or anything. Yeah. But it was just something.
Nobody knows what it means.
No one knows.
No.
But that guitar solo, even when I was a kid, I said, man, that takes you somewhere else.
Somewhere
It
else.
really does. And then now, I mean, music is all over the place now. But I think to me, it's got to have that right. It's got to put you in a mojo. The music's got to put you in a mojo, and if it's got it, it's very obviously got it. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
And some people, it may do that with them with a different song. And the same thing with bad songs.
Same thing.
Like Steely Dan, I can't hardly stand to listen to it. It was just a bad era in my life.
Right. Right. Well, and I mean, a lot of people, they're even, like I said, nowadays, there's stuff that my buddies in New York still listen to, and I don't even understand how they listen to it. It's just like the same rhythm over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
They like house or whatever. They're obsessed with it. It's like the best thing ever. They work all day listening to it, and it's great.
Man, it just sounds like the same thing on a loop to me.
On a loop. Yeah, I think they're...
Whoa, some kind of Hertz stuff, MZH or something.
MHZ or I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a different world, but yeah, I say genuinely to stick with rock. Hotel California, that song has got something in it that just, so I get it.
Yeah.
Even when you're working out, same thing.
Oh, same thing, yeah. Those guys down there, what's the name of that place? The fitness?
Southside Fitness.
Southside Fitness, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony is like, he's got such a great story, and he's just a really good friend. And I think that's the point about being home, right? Because I had a trainer in New York, and I had a guy trainer who was for lifting, and then I had a girl who was, for mobility work and more aerobics, and I loved both of them. They were great. But, I mean, Anthony's kind of guy is like, he'll call you every morning just seeing how you're doing. You need anything, I'll, bring you some Diet Coke if you need something, just let me know. It's just, it's that familial feeling of being at home, and you meet their kids and their wife and their family, and it's like, you become actually good friends. You don't get that anywhere else.
What's kind of died is Goggins? What's he say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff is, especially from a physicality perspective, it's that it is not your body that's giving out on you. It's your brain telling you you can't keep going.
Yeah.
That's Goggins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with your body. Like the limits that we can push ourselves are so significant. And I never even realized that. And I've worked out for a pretty decent amount of time, and I've pushed myself hard in a lot of things. My dream was to be in the military. My funny story is, I'm allergic to bees, and I can't see good out of one eye, and so the military didn't want me.
Yeah.
But so even if I wanted to, I couldn't. So I've always had to work pretty hard to be an athlete or to work out or whatever. And so Goggins has really played it's like a really cool mentality shift that, your brain is going to tell you cannot do that extra 10 minutes, but you really can.
Yeah.
It's just you're not primed properly to do it.
It's just you don't have the why.
Exactly.
Goggins is really something. I reckon he makes a living. He was 400 pounds before he had the shift.
Yeah. And then he's, a Navy SEAL. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
And bone on bone, his knees.
Yep. Running like 100-mile races.
He's got the record for the pull-ups, too, I think.
I think so. That's just insane.
It's like 10,000 pull-ups or something crazy.
It's crazy.
I can't do 3. Probably can't do 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, strength plays a role, but at some point it's just got to be your brain is telling you can't pull yourself up again. And
I asked Tom Cry. I had
Papa
him
Tom.
here. Yeah, I had him here as a guest, and he was a drill sergeant.
Really?
And I asked him, and then I asked Paul Renner the same thing because they're both military. I asked them both separate times to get separate answers, and they all had the same answer. They said, after you think you can't go no more, you've got about 20% left.
Yeah. I fully believe that.
And then I've noticed that cycling, when there's nothing left, if I just keep going about 12 more pedal strokes, you hit that euphoria that's almost the second wind.
Yeah.
And I think that's when your body is completely out of calories to eat, and it starts eating fat calories
The
that are
reserves.
stored.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost a jet fuel.
Yeah.
Because I'll get a little shiver down my spine, like a cold chills,
Sure.
and then it releases, and it's really incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, and I think especially when you're weightlifting, it's your strength's there, right? You got
Yeah.
5 sets,
Yeah.
right? You've done the first 3,
Yeah.
the same. It's
Yeah.
the same weight, it's the same muscle, same person, but your brain starts to tell you, man, that's starting to feel pretty heavy on you, and that's one of those things where you do have that extra 20% in you. You just got to prime yourself appropriately. I get that.
I wonder
100%.
but you can't really do that in business because I guess you can because you can stay up late working on something.
I think you can.
How do we tap into in our world? Do I stay up and look at a set of plans late? How's that going to help? Maybe that's it, but I don't know.
Sure. My thing is this: the way Daddy always explained it, and I watched those musicians do it, was it was no matter what task you had, you did it as if it were the most important task you had in your whole life. So if it was as simple as putting your pens back in the little pen holder, if you're doing that, that's like you've got to get them all right. And if you're cleaning up the desk or putting together a file, it's as if life or death depends on putting that file together appropriately. I think when I carry that into law or really anything, but especially in business, it changes your approach and you say, look, I may not have much left in the tank, but it's a life or death issue no matter what you're doing. And to me, that has revolutionized the way we approach things, because I think a lot of times little stuff feels little until they're not little anymore.
Right.
And then too many little things that are little and you don't care about it turn into one big pile of mess. And so if you're approaching things that are small and doing it the right way, then you can do big things at the same time. And so that's one of the things we preach, especially to new employees, which is like, you may not want to put that file together because it's the end of the day and it's boring. But we're a 24/7 law firm. I come in every day. I stay late. I like to be at the office in the middle of the night. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting the staff to be there, but if something's got to get done, something's got to get done. And if you approach little things like getting your files in order at 3 o'clock, then when you're really pushing through it at midnight,
It's a big deal.
it's a big deal, but that stuff's already done. So I don't have to waste my time taking care of the little stuff. It's already done. I can focus on what matters in that moment.
What's the old saying? It's the dog that's not barking that
Yeah.
can be the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of these things are the dogs that aren't barking. That's the ones that will bite.
Yeah, you're right. There's what you worry about. So it's like there's a lot of talk, right? But it's that guy sitting in the back just kind of putting their head down.
Well, if I'm here at night working and it's 9:30 and I'm getting ready to print something, there's never paper in the printer.
There you go.
And I got to get up and go all the way up here, get it, bring it back there, because it won't hold but that much paper.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal at 9:30 when you're just trying to get home.
You just want to finish.
You just want to get done, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever find yourself at the office like at 2 a.m, sure enough?
Yeah. I love it. It's fun for me. I guess, but the thing is, you're primed like that in New York City. I mean, I remember vividly my first day there, the expectation was, you leave when you're allowed to leave. Mm-hmm. And that may be, you were allowed to leave, but the expectation was you were there.
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to live for a long period of time, but it shows you, sometimes you've just got to work and stay there all night and, get some sleep and, just shake it off and start over again. And so that was how it was. I remember I had a corner office looking over the Empire State Building, and I worked so long that I looked up and I'm thinking, man, I bet it's probably 10 o'clock at night. And you look down and you look up and the sun's rising. Mm. You've been working all night. You're so ingrained in it that you don't even realize it. And I still do that today. I love being at the office late.
Was you in Manhattan?
Right in the
Downtown
city,
Manhattan?
right in the center of Manhattan. The Citibank building. It was 53rd and Lexington. You know that building? It's like a slant.
Yeah, let's see. When I go, I stay at the East West Marriott.
Yeah.
I think that's on 59th and Lexington.
Yeah, it's about 7 or 8 blocks up. I know what you're
That's a
talking
good
about.
place to stay.
It's a pretty
It's
place.
convenient, and it's
Yeah.
not right there, and it's...
Yeah. Well, and you build. Do you know the story about the Citibank building in New York? It's the most interesting story ever. So it's that building with the slant, and no one really knows, but there's these pillars all around the Citibank building that hold it up. And the story is that there's a student, I think it was at Columbia, maybe NYU or one of the local New York schools, that was in engineering school, and he saw that building and he did a project on it, and the project results showed that it was unstable and it was going to fall. Like it was going to collapse. And no one believed him until finally one of the engineers that had worked on the building was like, well, I'll take a look at it. And it turns out that within a couple of years probably, it was going to completely crumble.
It was built like a mushroom, sort of.
Yeah, it was just, there was no stability.
Yeah.
It was just like this, and it was shaking
Yeah.
and moving. And so, thanks to that kid in college, they built all these columns under the building. That's why it looks so weird that it's not like on the main level. It's almost up on a stack of columns. This is the coolest story ever. And they told me that when I first started, and I'm thinking, if this building falls, I'm on the 36th floor. I'm done for.
You can't get out of here quick enough.
Yeah, they gave me a little like emergency cushion.
Yeah.
I said, I was like, I'll hurt my ankle if I jump off this table right here. I mean, I'm in trouble.
So they really gave you a cushion?
Yeah. It was a blanket too. It was
Did
pretty
you ever
nice.
go to Greenwich Village?
Yeah.
Boy, it's fun, isn't it?
It's pretty over
Ride
there.
the subway and eat the pizza.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
It's not really my way of life.
They got a handball court there, I believe, don't they?
There's courts all
Yeah.
over. And like I said, it wasn't really my preferred way of living, but for a couple of years, it was awesome. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, to be able to say I did it and was
You ever
up
get
there.
scared staying late at night over there?
You know, a lot of people ask me that, and I feel like maybe I should be, but it's home, and I look at it like...
You hear anything, any noises or anything, creaks?
That is an old building.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's-
renovated it for George McCoy back before you had it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think what I've been told is it's the 7th oldest building in Cleveland. That's what I've been told. It's the old Wilson store. And there's a basement that I try not to go towards because I'm like, I don't like to hear noises at night. I'm not like scared of everything.
No,
but
I renovated the one next door.
Are you talking the one
The one with the tennis shoes.
with the tennis?
Yeah,
I got you with the
yeah,
tennis shoes.
so
So
I'm-
90.
yeah.
Or 70.
Yeah.
So, but that is. Sometimes I hear stuff at night, but I think that's every old building in Cleveland.
You know, the street is about 2 foot higher than
Okay.
what the floor used to be because of years of of repaving.
I see.
That's why a lot of the places step down.
Yeah, that step on the
Yeah.
front. Well, and I read that what I've learned is that there were buggies that would pull up to that store, and that step would be kind of like where the workers would stand there and put the
Yeah.
stuff in. And so we've obviously built that staircase in the front where you can go up during the front. But I think back in the day, it was really just a balcony, and that was where they stored all the pharmacy goods and wheat and flour and.
You know, I guess Cleveland's been what? 1870? No, is that about right?
Probably, I mean,
1870,
in the 1800s for
1860?
sure. I mean, 1800s for sure. Because if this was the 7th oldest building, there's no way that was in the 1900s.
Boy, isn't that something how it's come this far?
It is exploding.
It's
insane.
and the technology.
100%.
I mean, you can see Polk County was already going before we were going.
Yeah.
My understanding. It was before Rott's time, as they say, Captain Rott.
Yeah.
And now we can look over there through a satellite.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Well, and, I remember, I was pretty young, but I remember when the city was looking for its next city manager. And there was like this whole thing, like who's going to be the next city manager? They did this big research process. And that's another story I'm going to tell you about off the air. But the point is, they were saying, well, downtown's got we've got these big lofty plans for downtown. And that was when I was young and I was ready to move. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if it's really going to work. But they have done an unbelievable job. It's becoming like, it's becoming a really sizable city.
It really
and downtown is a hub.
Yeah. Is that going to depress us?
I don't necessarily think it'll depress downtown. I think it may have some effects.
Is it going to lose the hometown feel at some point?
I don't know. I haven't noticed it. I think there's some things that change. I mean, my thing is like, I don't ever honk at anyone at the red light if they don't go on green, and I get honked at a lot now.
Yeah.
I think that's a function of people moving here. And like I pull over if there's a funeral or or like a cop or an ambulance. Yeah. And people just keep driving, and I say, wow, that's weird. Yeah. But I don't know if it's going to hurt. Like if you're from here, it's still got that hometown feel. I think it'll always have that.
Our kids will probably not feel it.
I think you're probably right.
But your kids will probably know it's the hometown.
I'd like to think so. And I think part of it's also, as new people move, it changes like we talked about Miss Hilliard, right? Like there may not be a Miss Hilliard at that point, right? So we can't remind ourselves, oh, I remember that day at North Lee.
What did you like so much about her?
Man, she treated me like family. And I think that And this was what, kindergarten?
It
was in kindergarten. I just remember that. I don't know why. I just remember it vividly. And still to this day, I've seen her probably a couple months ago. Same exact thing. It was like it never changed. And I think there's very few people who are just that genuine as someone as her, who just, you remember her even when you're a little kid, you barely understand how to live. There's just something about it.
Isn't that weird?
Very weird. And I don't have anyone like that from college or law school.
Some teachers just do that.
Yeah.
Some teachers don't.
I agree.
They're just the opposite.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other kind of cool thing about growing up here is now I see certain teachers who were originally teachers that I remembered growing up that are now in positions of authority, they're principals or they're, in school board or, involved at a higher level. And I think that's how you maintain that hometown feel, is like someone you knew when you were a kid is now running the show, and you can trust their judgment.
Yeah, that's weird. That's a trusting their judgment's a big thing. I went to this bid thing where they were wanting people to bid, and there was 4 people there, and anyway, it was a big board, and anyway, so as I'm leaving, I said, "See you, John." And they were all astounded that I knew John. And they asked him, we played baseball together and went to school together, and he was my brother's age. And, I wasn't even a direct friend of his.
Yeah.
But I was a friend of his brother's. It was the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's how if you don't know something and you need to know and you want to learn about it, you go to the person that you trust. Yeah. And so I think you're totally...
I think about Andy Griffith when Barney comes up to Andy and says, "Andy," says, "people think I shouldn't have this job, and I want them to think that you hired me because you looked at all the applicants and you thought I was the best." And he said, "Okay, I will, Barney." He said, "Thank you, Cousin Angie." That was like the first episode of that. That's the only place that they knew that there was a relation between, because nowhere else did they say they were cousins.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. And you asked me about Miss Hilliard. That's it right there. My parents weren't from here, right? They moved here and then they birthed me. So, but I noticed that familial connection so quickly, even though they didn't even though mom and dad didn't go to North Lee, right? And so that's why I think for my kids it may be different as opposed to someone who's newer here now, because I do remember.
Maybe she made you feel included.
Yeah.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
I remember when I was probably 5 or 6, I had to go stay at these people's house, and it felt a little bit uncomfortable. And the father said, Dee's here, 3 cheers for Dee, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, and I just felt so much better.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, they're glad I'm here.
Yeah.
Just that one little bitty thing.
Yeah. And when you're a kid, that matters.
Oh, it was a big deal to me. I was probably about in the kindergarten at the time.
Then you get
So Miss Hillary did something like, you're probably thinking, my parents weren't from here or something subconscious.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not intentionally. Just, you know, this is, it was all I've ever known. But again, it was like, all I ever really know was like T-ball and baseball. And so it felt normal there.
Right.
You know, this is the same people who ran the concession stands. And that's like clockwork. But for school, it was always different.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you have an upstairs at your office?
We do.
You got it fully?
It's fully renovated, and we're actually putting some new lawyers in there starting this week.
Do you ever think, oh my gosh, what have I done? You ever get that feeling?
At first, maybe. And then now I'm having so much fun that, you know, I'm just thankful to be here. I look at it like everyone said, all my friends in New York say I'm crazy. They say, you are absolutely insane to give up the corner office in Manhattan. You're doing billion-dollar cases. You can go to any restaurant you want. And they say, and all you want to do is go home and eat at Mexican every night.
Yeah.
And I say, that's true. That's exactly right. You know, I love the routine of being at home. And with this upstairs, the same kind of thing. It's like we've kind of created a model where it's a cycle. There's a process to the madness.
Yeah.
And so it is a big shift, you know, moving people upstairs. I think the notable story for the firm is Mom, who I don't know if she's going to go full-time yet, but, you know, Mom has been a teacher at Bradley County Schools for probably 20 years, maybe 25 years. And she went to law school, took the bar and passed in Minnesota, and then took the bar again and passed in Tennessee, and is now, she's not working full-time. I can't really get her away from teaching. She just loves it too much, but she's learning about the law, and she's, you know, eagerly getting more involved over time. And I think she'll probably, at some point, switch over. And that's been a really cool thing to see. And so she'll have an office upstairs that will, that's the expansion part of this whole process, right? Is you've got to have more people, more paralegals, more lawyers. And so,
What's one area of the law that you really see people in dire need?
I'd say if you're saying dire need.
Yeah, I mean, just really, they're just down on their luck. Because it couldn't be personal bankruptcy, right? Or
I mean, I'd say that's more like, it's a really unfortunate situation, but there is a clear way out. And the bankruptcy process is a perfect way for that, right?
But is that corporate? But when we say corporate, you're talking about a guy that owns a business.
That owns a business.
So it's not a big, huge corporation. You're just talking about a guy that has a T-shirt shop and he can't make it no more. And the pressure's just overwhelming him.
To me, that's the key, because I've worked on a $6 billion bankruptcy case. I've also handled a $100,000 bankruptcy case for like you said, a mom and pop shop, T-shirt shop. Not literally, but figuratively. And then a $6 billion multinational corporation with 800 entities. The principle still applies. It's the same law, because federal law is uniform. And so that's my world of bankruptcy, is understanding that corporate world. So it could be either one is really the point.
Yeah.
Now, there's some kind of costs that go into that may not make it worth it for a smaller company. It may make more financial sense to go another route, like with the Richards and Bradleys of the world. But to me, if I'm being completely honest, the fields where I think people are, I don't want to say they need a lawyer the most, because I don't think that's necessarily true, but the field where it's the most personal is probably family and criminal, because it's either affecting your kids or it's affecting your freedom to live out in the world. That to me is where it's the most personal for sure.
So family would be like what?
That'd be like a divorce or a custody issue where, you've got to.
But now that is, I don't want to say self-imposed, but things brought about it and maybe a slow moving train.
Sure.
But now the criminal, you're talking about a guy that did everything right 99 times, but that one time he messed up.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is the way I look at it. I'm very strong supporter of the police. I'm very, very supportive of following the rules. I mean, I grew up in church. My dad is like hard line. Like, it was one of those, you get good grades, you say yes, ma'am, you say yes, no, sir, no, yes, sir. You don't even, if you think you didn't pay for that grape at the grocery store, pay double.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. At the same time, mistakes happen, and also, I think there's the police and the district attorney's office has a job, and we have a job as defense attorneys to protect the client's interest, and they have a job to protect the state's interest. And so I think it really matters that you've got strong leadership in the district attorney's office, which we do, and strong leadership on the bench in the criminal world, which we do here. We've got an
We're very
unbelievable
lucky
bench.
on both of those.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Because I've been in New York. I've been, I went to school in North Carolina, and in North Carolina, there are some judges who you don't even have to be a lawyer. You can just be a judge, and there may be certain fields where that makes sense, but to me, you want to have someone like we've got here who's done it for a while, who understands the nuances about it.
Well, we've got some good ones right now. Maybe better than we've ever had.
We have some awesome leadership. It's just terrific here. It really is.
But someone might do something wrong and really needs. You ever have anybody come in to see you that they're just down to rock bottom?
Yeah.
Almost in tears.
Oh yeah, that happens. I mean,
Twice a week.
I'd say it happens more than you think. And to me, the reason why I think it may happen more is because a lot of times it's people I know.
And do they a lot of times just need somebody that sympathizes with them? Is that the biggest thing they need?
I don't know if it's the biggest thing, but to me is you got to rationalize every issue, right? Like some things to me are what I call not that big a deal. I'm not saying like you get charged with a criminal charge, it's a very big deal in any kind of charge.
Yeah.
But there's some things that people come in on, and I try to say, I try not to look at it as a lawyer first. And I think that's what a lot of people do is it's like, it's this strict box, like everything's based on statute.
Yeah.
But, and I don't think our judges do that. I think our judges are very realistic, say, there's a real issue and there's real people, and there's no one-size-fits-all outcome for anything in the world, really, especially nowadays with technology and how things are changing. But to me, by approaching it as a real person, I tell anyone who wants to work at the office, and I've said this from the beginning, you've got to be a real person. You've got to be a human. Like if you're not a human or a real person, then that doesn't mean you're a bad lawyer. It just may not mean you're, that you may fit in our culture of people. Because for us, we try to be real people. We play sports together. We go out to eat together. We're happy about life. And I think by being a real person, you can help someone rationalize an issue that they may otherwise think it's, the end of the world, when all it takes is, a week's worth of work and a pat on the back and everything will be okay.
So maybe let them have a place to vent first,
Sure.
and then let's work it. Let me tell you you're not a bad person, and then we'll work on how to get out of it.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
The fancy word is client management, right? But it's real, and I think it's in anything you do. You probably see it all the time. You've got a deadline. They want you to construct something a certain way, and they're freaking out. Dee, there's no way this is going to get done on the right schedule, and I don't know how it's going to. And you're saying, I've done this enough times to know I've got it under control.
Yeah.
I think
or you're trying to build it within their bank's budget.
Their budget.
Yeah.
And you might have to do some
Yeah.
things to, on your end to help them figure that out.
Yeah, your friend at church does not need to design your back porch. That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because people's houses are a big deal. They're going to pay for it for 30 years.
For a long time.
That's personal, man.
It is. It is personal.
They can get really, it's a real big deal to them, paying for it for 30 years.
It's a lot of money.
In a lot of ways, with yours, people could be paying for something they did wrong for 30 years, maybe.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not if they hire us.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, you never know. I mean, life is life, and I always say the way I was raised is, there's a way to do things, I think, that are probably most appropriate given my moral code. But at the end of the day, I am not perfect by any means at all, at any capacity. But I try every day to be a pretty decent guy. That's what I try to do. And so that's the way we live. And I think by approaching it that way, instead of saying, I'm this, I went to these cool things and did all this stuff in New York, blah, blah. I don't think that's how you approach life. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be.
I used to use John Kinder for a surveyor for years, and he was a good friend of mine. And he did something every time you'd leave, he said something that was, and I don't even know if he meant it, but he'd say, call me if I can help you. He ended every conversation and every meeting with, call me if I can help you.
Wow.
And that made you feel so good.
I'm sure.
Even though we didn't even talk about anything, it's just, well, I can call him if I need it.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. I don't know if he did that on purpose or if it was just something he said.
Sure.
But it still made you feel good.
And it sticks with you.
Give me a call if I can help you.
Yeah. Well, and
Actually, it was, give me a call if I can do anything for you. That was what it was. Not just help you, but if I can do anything, give me a call if I can do anything for you.
Wow. Well, and I think that's that hometown feel.
Yeah.
That's to me what Cleveland is.
Yeah.
Is people who are willing to go out of their way for you. You got to be their friend. They may not be able to help every single person on the road, but there are people who are willing to help you even when they maybe don't have an obligation to do it.
Oh, yeah. Can you think of somebody that's passed away recently that's helped you? Or I always think about people like that.
Sure. Thankfully, I haven't had a lot of loss that's really touched the family, and that's a blessing. And I realize I'm pretty young, and so maybe it happens at some point in life. It's just kind of an inevitability. A lot of times, mentors in the law will say, like, when a lawyer passes, it's kind of like all those memories go away. And I get what they're saying, like, it's the constant changing of the guard, so to speak. But to me, when someone passed away, I always try to look at it like they lived a great life, and I'll try to learn everything I can from what they've done in their life and apply it to my life. Like I said, I'm really blessed to have not had significant loss lately. But I do have I can tell you, it's not really from here, but there was an attorney who is the mother of a very good friend of mine from a law program way back in the day. She was like the mecca of big corporate law. And she was top partner, she introduced me to this whole world of just big law, and she was a powerhouse. And some stuff happened in her personal life, really sad stuff, just, unfortunate. And I'll never forget, I was in New York City. I was just starting at my new big firm. It was like my first internship where I got my first paycheck. I was so excited to call her. And I got a call from her daughter, and she's like, "You're not going to believe me when I tell you." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Mom passed away."
Golly.
I mean, like 50 years old, like out of nowhere. And I kid you not, it was the same week that I was calling her to tell her, I got that first big paycheck you told me I'd get. I got that first job you told me I'd get. And I got this first big case that you told me I'd get. And the sad thing is she didn't really have a dad, so it was really just her and her brother living in Seattle at the time. And I'll never forget, I was in New York City. It was my first week starting, and I decided that I was going to come home, see my parents for a second, and then I flew to Seattle. And it was during COVID, so I really wasn't supposed to be traveling around, and you remember all the restrictions, whatever. And I gave the eulogy at her funeral because they didn't. It was just the daughter and her little brother.
Yeah.
There's no dad involved. There's really no people, and it was like the whole company from her firm or whatever that had come. And I gave this eulogy, and I always said that I probably will never be as good as her because she was just like larger than life. But the one thing she always taught me was that even if you come from a small town, she came from the same small town, and she said it doesn't matter. You can still have some kind of impact. It doesn't matter because the impact you have on your local community versus the impact you have on the entire United States, it's still having an impact. Doesn't matter really at what level it is.
Right.
And I gave that eulogy, and it was a great moment. I mean, it was obviously very sad, but I'd say that's the one that really hit home for me because still to this day, I was so excited to tell her.
And you didn't get to tell her?
I never got to tell her.
Golly.
That was a tough one.
Yeah. Within days.
Literally days.
To her.
Yeah, to her.
Hey, I appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.